I'm so excited, y'all. Welcome to Sit Fearlessly. We are at the Bronx Net Studio. How exciting is this? Oh my God. This is something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. So we are so excited as, ladies from the Bronx,
Right.
being able to do our show in the Bronx at BronxNet, which is a network that is so well respected. We're just so excited to add to the family. And my earpiece is already falling off.
And bringing that big Bronx energy.
That's right, yes. So for those of you who don't know, you will meet me now on TV. I am Sue Fearless, and I am one half of Sip Fearlessly.
And I'm Gigi, the other half of Sit Fearlessly.
And we're actually very excited to be here. As you guys know, we have done a revamp, and we have launched this season, and we have had so many incredible guests on so far, and today is nothing short of that. But before we get into our first guest, I just want to give a huge, huge shout out to all the women who are killing it. We are like literally taking over right now. Everything we're doing is phenomenal. We are supporting each other, and I love to see it so much. And now we have Kamala Harris running for presidency. So, it's a lot happening. So I just want to give a shout out to all of the women organizations out there. I just had the pleasure to do media for Cis Expo. So shout out to them. Amazing, amazing events. And yeah, we're here. Ew. How do you feel?
I feel great. I feel amazing. How you feel?
I feel excited. I'm very excited.
I
Yes.
feel as bright as my suit. That's exactly how I feel.
Well, without further ado, our first amazing, amazing guest is Miss April Hernandez. And we have actually been in chat for a while now, so I'm
Yes,
very
we have.
excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Always proud of everything that you're doing, trailblazer, and your story is just so amazing. And I've been wanting, for you to share it on our platform so that everyone can connect to it and see all of the amazing things that you've been doing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So before I let you introduce yourself, I just
Yes.
want to say some of your accolades.
Yeah.
So April Hernandez Castillo is first known for having a commercial on the Super Bowl, which is amazing. Okay. And I love that. And it was starring Yao Ming and Yogi Berra. And also you starred in Law and Order, SVU. Also, you have had a role on Dexter, Showtime's Dexter, and you portrayed Eva Benitez on the movie Freedom Riders, okay?
Yes.
Which is with Oscar winner Hillary Swank. I mean,
Yes.
this is like amazing.
She
So
was
many amazing
two
things.
times. She was a two-time Oscar winner. Yeah, that's
Yes.
important.
So let's start a little bit with that and tell us how you got into it. Tell us a little bit of your background first and then how you got into the acting world.
That's a loaded question. I have a very long journey, but I will give you the small. I'm born and raised in the Boogie Down Bronx. I grew up at 179th Street in Grand Concourse in Creston. And I grew up during the crack epidemic era. So New York City was a hot mess. But in that hot mess, there was so much beauty and community and love and fire hydrants in the summertime. And now it's summer and we're just, there was something electric about where I grew up. And I loved it. And it really helped me and it formed my mindset of, I don't know, I always felt like there was something greater, something more for myself. And being blessed to have two parents, my mom would always tell me, you can be whatever you want to be. One of those things that she would always instill. And so I really grabbed onto that. And I fell in love with acting, but I never, ever, ever, ever thought that I could be an actor. And I was like, wow, I think I want to do it one day. And I entered Hunter College. I was going at first to become a nutritionist, and I walked into the chemistry class, and then I walked out. And I was like, oh, hell no. This pretty face doesn't do chemistry.
Right.
I am not a scientist. I can't even absorb science. It's just like so foreign to my mind. And then I discovered an acting 101 class. And from there on, I fell in love and I started working really fast. And I had to make that decision. I was like, well, I think I have to leave school. And that's really when you're an entertainer and the world is calling you, you have to do what you need to do. And so that's been my life for the last, 2 decades. I feel so old. And that's the beginning. That's the beginning.
I love that. So was there anybody that like influenced you or inspired you and pushed you Because I know for me, when I was entering my career in like finance and accounting, I did have like people who I remember till this day who pushed me towards that direction, and they were like, "Listen, this is where I feel you would thrive," and things like that. So, is there anyone that influenced you?
I can't say, I mean, other than obviously my parents pushing me, I can't really say I had people pushing me, but ironically, I was always looking up to Shitara from the Thundercats. That's how old I am. And I was like, I just want to be strong like her. I always felt like, my goodness, I think like she's the most powerful woman back then, right? Because you have to remember, I'm like a dinosaur. So we didn't have what we have now. We didn't have so many beautiful people of color, Latinas, Latinos on TV. We only had probably like 3 or 4 actors that sort of looked like us.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have that. But I think when I did see, you know, Rosie Perez, and I was like, wow, she's from Brooklyn and she has this accent and she has this curly hair and wow, I can identify with her. But along the way, I think I've had great mentors to push me. I think I've had people to really like show me the business and show me the way, which was always important.
Yeah. So actually speaking from a Latina perspective, how difficult was it when you first started getting into the industry?
I feel like there are so many now Latinas on TV that there's way more competition, as before when I first started, there was only like 4 or 5 people that were always working. But there was this excitement that, wow, I'm someone new and I can do something. And then booking Freedom Writers really took me to another place. You know, when I went to LA, I was living on my own, but I had no car and I had no license, and because I'm a New Yorker, and who has a car at that time? But I just had this hustle. I just had this thing that, unfortunately, you know, some people in the West Coast, they don't really have it because some of them are, you know, it's just given to them. But it was like this hunger that I had, and I was like, I'm going to make it. And it was the greatest thing that's ever happened.
I love that. I love that. So what has been your most challenging role to date that you've played?
Being a mother.
I hear that one.
Like real life.
I mean, like everything else is easy. I think it's just remaining in the business. I think the business has changed exponentially in ways that it's good and then bad. I just feel like Hollywood has changed, the entertainment business. And sometimes you just, they're like, wow, I miss just being an actor.
Yeah.
But now you have to produce, direct, edit. You have to do everything being a one woman show in a sense. And that we didn't have to do.
Right.
Before you could really just study your craft and be a student and then, you know, and really understand acting. Now it's so much harder to just do that.
Well, I feel like it's because there's also a new avenue that has opened where we now can create our own films. Right. Yeah, and our own TV shows.
So that's the plus side now, right? Where you're like, you know what? I'm just going to create a show on my phone and I'm going to start a YouTube channel. So those are the beautiful moments that now we have as entertainers, that we really don't have to wait for anyone to tell our stories.
Exactly.
Because no one else was going to tell our stories. And they still fail sometimes at telling our own stories. So who else better to do it than us?
Exactly. So do you feel like that is what's challenging now, getting into the industry? Like, because I know you're very transparent on social media.
Yeah.
You're always talking about your journey, and you have this express, you know, that now versus before, getting into the acting world and getting the roles is a little bit more difficult.
Right. I think with the strike and the pandemic, people don't see it, but so many people are struggling. So many people are just trying to pay the rent. And so when you're just trying to pay the rent, it's hard to just focus solely on being this performer. But then that side of kills you because you're like, I just want to be a performer. You know, artists, all we want to do is create. So I've had to adapt and grow. And so now I have my business with my husband, Lion Chaser Media, where we're shooting our first documentary and we're just creating, we're being creatives.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of it as well. I think, you know, I'm still auditioning, I'm still acting. And when it comes around again, it's all about perseverance. And can you ride that wave?
Right.
Can you have the resilience to continue and not let go of that dream?
Yeah.
Because so many of us have that dream, but so many of us give up because sometimes it's just, it's a lot. It's
It's
overwhelming.
a lot. I mean, everything is challenging. I feel like every single industry that we're in
Yes.
is challenging, and especially
Yes.
now that we have to look at these other tools like social media and leverage it and things
Right.
like that. It's like you're right. It's now you're responsible for a lot of different tasks.
Exactly.
So-
Things that you never had to worry
Right.
about before, and you're like, oh my gosh, did I show up on social media?
Right.
Am I being my authentic self? Which just drives me crazy. I can't stand when I
Right.
hear that. I'm like, what is my authentic self? I don't think you really want to see, but I'll give you the best version of myself.
Right.
And that's
Right?
real.
Now it
Yes.
attacks the mental. I guess it's just now it gets into your head and it's more difficult than it was before.
Yeah.
Right, because now you're comparing yourself in a way that you
Right.
never compared yourself.
Right.
When I went into a room to audition, because now everything is on camera, all I was competing was, of course, myself, but just the women that were in the room.
Right.
And when
Yeah.
I left that room,
That's
I
it.
didn't
That's
think
it.
about them
That's it.
anymore. I didn't.
Exactly.
I wasn't like, oh wow, she's younger than me, or she's
Right.
she's beautiful and all this stuff. Like you
Yeah.
did that in the room, and then you went into the room and you left it all
Yeah.
there with the casting
Right.
director, and you left.
Exactly.
And that was it. Now,
It's-
when you
it's
see people
horrible.
with their wins and all this, and you're like, wow, am I not doing enough?
Right.
Am I enough?
It's a
Right.
lot of imposter
Yeah.
syndrome going on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yes.
it's crazy. But I do want to give a shout out to my son. He just turned 21. And I bring him up because I thought about my daughter. She asked me the other day, she's like, Mom, how was it before? Meaning without social media and stuff.
It
And I
was
was like,
great.
girl,
Amazing.
we didn't even
It was
have
great.
phones.
It was amazing.
I was like, we didn't even have phones. We had
Right.
beepers. We used to text letters on beepers.
Yeah.
Like
We had
it
the
was
little
amazing.
thing. Do you
Yes.
like me? You remember that little? I never knew how to play it, but that was our form of
Right.
communicating.
And like you said, we only
Correct.
worried about our radius. Like that's
Yes,
it.
that's it. That's all
But-
you had to compare.
Yes,
Right.
but I have other stuff that I want to dive into.
Of course.
So I know that you have openly expressed that you are a domestic violence survivor. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that and
Mm-hmm. Of
maybe,
course.
just share, I guess, a little bit of your journey, how you overcame it, and maybe give some advice.
Absolutely. I was in an intimate partner violent relationship from the age of 16 to about 19 and a half. So I was physically and mentally abused. It got to the point where he almost ended my life. And I got to a place where when that didn't happen, I wanted to take my own. So people ask me, how did you know when it was time to leave? I was like, when I didn't want to live anymore. And I was a tough girl growing up in the Bronx. And I think we have this misconception that the toughest women will never end up in an abusive relationship. And usually we are.
That's a
We're the
lie.
ones that we do.
Right.
And we know how to hide it so well because along with that comes with the shame. And you can't even believe that you're in that
Right.
situation. And so it wasn't until I woke up one day and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. And that's the time when no one was committing suicide. The topic of suicide wasn't, like you rarely or ever heard about it. And so that was the moment where I said, no, I have to break away. And I didn't understand the concept of victimization. I didn't understand the concept that I was even in a toxic relationship. I just knew either I get out or I will not make it. And so now that we have all this language and verbiage and all of these amazing organizations and access to help, I didn't have that when I was growing up.
Right.
And so it was just this fire of like, okay, watch, I survived, now watch me. So for me, I didn't remain as a victim. I never identified as a victim. I just knew I'm going to make something of myself.
Yeah.
I'm going, watch me, right? Like, I'm going to do this, that, and I will never fall into another relationship again.
Yeah.
Like, fool me once and that's it.
Exactly.
So that's my story in a
Yeah.
nutshell, obviously. And so
Yeah.
I've been also a speaker for over a decade, sharing my story, speaking to women. I wrote 2 books, and really, just when you think that the story, when you've heard enough stories, then when this Diddy thing came out and it just rocked everyone, and I
Right.
said, yeah, welcome
Right.
to the realities of what
Exactly.
it looks like when a woman does
What
try
has-
to leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Because everyone has that question, well, why doesn't she leave? Well, we saw it.
Right.
We saw a woman try to walk away, and she
Right.
was beat down. Worse,
Yeah.
like you would never even hit an animal that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was powerful. And I was recently on CNN, being
Yes,
able
that's
to
right.
share my story. So that was amazing. And yeah, that's my calling. That's my purpose.
I thank you, for sharing your words with others, for sharing your stories with others, because it's like you said, back then there wasn't so many people that were talking about it, so you couldn't find a safe space.
Right.
It was very difficult
Right.
to even understand how to get out of that situation, even feeling embarrassed to tell somebody that you were going through that, you know. So thank you for sharing, because the more of us that share, the more people will have the courage to come out and talk about it.
I think anytime you see anyone talk about something that you are secretly experiencing, you automatically connect and feel like I'm not alone.
Right.
And if they were able to do something with their lives, then there's hope for me.
Exactly.
And everyone's situation is different, right? So giving advice is very different, and you always have to be careful. And so what I do say is, number one, never tell someone to leave an abusive relationship. That's the worst thing that you can do. Instinctually, we want to, but that's the worst thing, because if they do leave, they could end up dead, and that'll be on you, right? And so also knowing, like, you can just go online now. Now, if you are in a house that you can't do that, go to a friend, go to someone that you can trust, and also leave a trail. Anytime that something happens, write it down, record it, hide it somewhere where the perpetrator won't be able to find it. And those are just little things that you can do, and just know that you're loved and you deserve the best.
Exactly.
And it took a long time for me to get to that place of saying, no, I love myself. And that was just, you know, it was, I always say abuse was just a comma in my life. It wasn't a period.
That's right.
It didn't end my life. It just actually gave me more ammunition.
That's right. Well, I'm grateful that we have you here. Yes.
Thank you.
And I want to add, self-love definitely, I think, is exactly where it starts. And then also, I just want to encourage, especially women, because men obviously go through domestic violence as well, but especially women, I want to encourage you guys to have your own identity when you step into a relationship. Make sure you're working on your finances, especially if you decide to have children, because that's a major reason why a lot of women don't walk away, is because they're dependent on that partner. They have children with that partner. They don't know how they're going to survive after that. They don't want to go to a shelter. So, you know, I would encourage women to just, you know, seek some education, you know, just get like the necessary tools that you can get to be able to fend for yourself. And I think it'll make it easier to walk away. But thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
So, no more lighter news. I know you've been working with your hubby.
Yes.
Which I want to get into that
daddy.
later. Yes. But I do know that you've been doing a lot of film, photography, videography with him. So let's talk a little bit about that journey.
Right. That journey started, I want to say, when I was working on Dexter and we were living in LA. My father-in-law had just passed, and I was working, was living in a lovely little sublet apartment, and we purchased our first camera, and Lion Chaser Films was born. And we had no idea what it was going to be. We were just like, you know what, we're storytellers and we want to tell stories. Obviously, from that moment till now, we have grown, we rebranded, now we do media. So we shoot content, we create content, and we're still telling stories. And working with my husband, there's no other better business person that I want to work with. Creative, he's brilliant, and the way that we just push each other, and it's been amazing. So now we've been shooting our documentary on Joe Conzo.
Oh, nice.
Born in the Bronx, and if you don't know who Joe Conzo is, he is a legend. He is a living legend. He is the man that captured hip-hop's baby pictures. So there would be no photos of, you know, hip-hop in the beginning if it wasn't for Joe Conzo.
Nice. That
So
is
we've been
awesome.
documenting his story.
Yeah. So what do you like the most about being in film? Because I know it's a different
darling,
perspective, because you're also an actress.
You know, I think being behind the camera, I'm finding it to be a sense of freedom that you don't really experience as an actor until you've gotten to a very, you know, higher level, right? If you are an A-list actor, things feel a little bit easier. But when you are behind the camera and you're actually producing and really like finding things to make happen, and when you have this concept and this idea, I'm a visionary, and you're like, this is what it's going to be, and then you get to complete it, there's just a fulfillment that you don't receive or feel as an actor.
Okay.
And you don't have to be 10 pounds lighter, you feel me? Like you
Yeah.
because the camera picks up everything.
Right.
And you're like, wow, I gotta, woo, things are different these days. You know, pandemic weight is still on. And so, you know.
The
when you
camera gives you like 10 pounds.
it's just so disrespectful and demonic. You know, you're just like, really,
It really
what are you
is.
doing? So I get to work and just meeting people. But once again, it's being able to conceptualize
Yeah.
and find, wow, we did this. No one else did it.
Yeah.
Or when you collaborate with other creatives and create something beautiful, it's just amazing.
Yeah. So the different platforms we have out now where we can stream TV shows, movies, things like that.
Right.
How do you feel it's going? Do you feel like they're representing our Latino community? They're being open? Do you feel like it's easy?
Yeah,
or
for
is
sure.
Is it very competitive?
I have like 3 friends who are Puerto Rican and they are kicking butt and they are
Love
on
it.
huge shows.
I love it.
My brother from another mother, Ramon Rodriguez, he's on Will Trent. He is the star of
Okay.
that show. He's Puerto Rican. I can't complain anymore that I'm not seeing people
Right.
that look like me. That's not the case anymore. I think where we do need more people are in the rooms.
Okay. Yes.
More people
Agreed.
of color, more people who really understand that we're more than just Mexican.
Yes.
Right.
Love the Mexican people, but we're more than Mexican.
Right.
We come in an array of colors, and I think it's hiring people who can produce and bring the money.
Yeah.
Those are the decision makers. That's really what makes a show get made.
That's very true.
And that's important. So yes, it's great. I think we've made great strides. I mean, now more than ever, we're seeing all sorts of new actors from all different backgrounds. So it's amazing.
Yeah, I love that. So really quick, do you think funding is still an issue?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
funding is an issue for anyone.
Yeah.
Right.
They always say they don't have money, and you're like, how did that movie get made? I'm just,
Right.
I watch movies and I go like, how did that get made?
Right.
Like, who did you sleep with? No, it's just one of those things where you go like, wow, but it's who you know.
Yeah.
Right.
It's how well connected. It's based on your relationships, and really just having that resilience of not saying, you know what, I'll make this no matter what.
Yeah. Well, you guys are killing it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So I do want to talk a little bit about the hobbies. So what inspired you and your husband to start working together?
Well, I got free photography.
Right.
Oh, my headshots are free.
Exactly.
It's. I think we just always were in sync.
Okay.
I think when we first met, I mean, we've been together for 23 years.
Beautiful.
So
I
we've
love
grown
that.
together. He was there when I had the idea that I wanted to do stand-up comedy, and he's been there through everything. But now we're both at this level where now we are working with people that we've never thought we would work with, and they're recognizing like, oh, wow, she's not just an actor, she really is about the art. And doing with him, he's a creative. So I think we just really respect each other, and we push each other. We're each other's hype man, hype woman. Anytime I win, he wins. Anytime he wins, and I think that's the beauty. And we're both just curious. You know, we both feel like we haven't gotten to that place where we're like, oh yeah.
Okay.
We've done it, but I think when you do, then you go to heaven. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like you never get to that place where you're like, oh, I've completed everything.
Unless you become stagnant, yes. But we're always
exactly,
looking to grow.
right?
Yeah.
And whether it's like, oh, I'm going to write a book. And, when I wrote my book during the pandemic, he was like, okay, great,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know everyone aspires to do that. I know Giselle, she's married, but I know there has to be some little moments of disagreement. How do you deal with those moments?
Absolutely not. We are a perfect couple. No. Listen, we're both alphas. So we've gone through very intense moments where we're like, we have a client coming. And I hate you right now.
Right.
When you can maintain a level of professionalism, no matter what, and if there is true respect, then you can get through it. I think once you begin to lose the respect for each other
Yes.
and the vision of what you want for your family, understanding that, okay, this is what we're doing is bigger than this.
What's going on right
Yeah,
now.
what's going on, but also always dealing with it.
Yeah.
We're not that couple that we just like don't
Push it
deal
to the
with
side,
it. We're
yes.
very
You have
honest
to
with
deal
each
with it.
other. We're very transparent, sometimes to the point where you're like, I don't really want to know that about myself, but okay. And but if you don't do that, then how can you really grow?
Right.
And I think we just, once again, we enjoy the work so much that, and we know what's priority. We know what's most important. It's our
Yeah.
faith. It's our love for each other. No project comes before our marriage.
Okay.
No project comes before, even my daughter who's an actor, if we not feeling it, we just not feeling it.
Right.
And her understanding that she has the power to say no.
Yeah.
She gets to do this because it's a gift that was given to
Exactly.
her, and it's great. If she never wants to do it again, that's fine.
Yeah. So I know you share some gems for a good lasting relationship, but what is one advice you can share, like for a long lasting relationship?
Oh, this is a whole other. Oh gosh. Okay.
There's a lot of things. Yeah, I know. You gotta pick one.
I think. Oh my gosh, being able to laugh with your partner.
Yes.
But once again, I think resentment is something that seeps in, and if you don't deal with it, and I think for women, not expecting your partner to know what you want, and being
And I
able
think
to,
vice versa.
right,
as well,
and for that your other, for your partner to say, like, because as you grow, you change. Like I'm in my
Yes.
mid-40s. This perimenopause is whack right now. Like what are we doing? Like so you change as a woman
Right.
hormonally.
Yes.
And if you don't understand that, your partner won't understand that, and that's
Right.
where the clash comes in.
Yes.
So it's always saying, hey, you know what? I'm not well right now. I don't feel like myself. Something is off. And I kind of need your guidance and your support and your empathy to help me through this storm, because once we begin changing hormonally, that can take forever.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking that you're just tired, but really like your
Yeah.
estrogen levels are low and you just want to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you're crying every
Yes.
5 minutes and you have no idea why.
Yeah.
And so that's where I find myself of like, okay, wow, we're changing. And it's hard.
But
it really is.
Yeah. So what I'm gathering is like understanding and communication and
Empathy,
empathy. Yes, and empathy.
compassion,
Yes.
and grace.
Yes.
Yes.
Grace for wow, you
Yes.
made a mistake. Okay, like let's learn. Not being perfect. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think what is perfection anyway. But
Well, God bless you guys' union.
thank you.
Yes. And then, I mean, thank you for sitting with us today.
Of
like,
course, this is so
actress,
great.
film producer, author,
Public speaker.
public
You know,
speaker,
just all.
like
Just all.
amazing.
And my daughter, she just got
Yes.
nominated for another Imagen Award.
Ah!
The second year. We just found that out today.
Congratulations.
I'm so proud of her for Alma's Way on PBS, and,
Oh my
and Alma's
goodness.
Way got nominated as well. So
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it so much.
Thank
So I do want to end the
Yes.
conversation by asking you this question.
Oh, gosh.
And I know you've shared so much, but I know you have something great for us. So we want to know, since we are Sip Fearlessly, which actually stands for Sisters in Power, which is my sister and I.
I was waiting to sip a martini on this.
Oh,
That
well.
too.
I'm just
That
saying. I'm just saying.
But can you share with us in 30 seconds, what does fearless mean to you?
Dreaming in color,
Dreaming in color. I
standing
love that.
boldly in your faith.
Yes. And you know what? Those are two great things.
You want me to leave it right there?
Yes.
Because I had another one.
perfect.
You don't do things in twos. You got to do things in threes. And never be afraid to walk into a room.
Never be afraid to walk into a room. I like
you
that.
go.
So on that note, we are going to wrap up. But thank you again so much, April, for being
you.
here. I am Sue Fearless.
And I'm Gigi.
And this was another episode of Sip Fearlessly. Thank you, guys.